You think this dude asked somebody, like, no, you didn't ask nobody. You just do it. And if you fuck it up, you fix it along the way. And so I just think that if you're sitting here as a listener and you're listening to us three crazy ass people, well, the reason why we're here is because we don't overthink the process. We know and believe in ourselves, and we're optimistic enough that we can figure it out along the way. And honestly, most people just overthink themselves completely out of success.
Just do it, man. It's not a phrase that Nike created that's exclusive to Nike. Just doing it is about starting what you've been thinking about for a long time. And in business, we must put ourselves out there and be uncomfortable. But it takes confidence. It takes overcoming fear. And this is the topic that Cory, Maurice, and myself dive deep into today. Not only do we tell you stories, not only do we give you recommendations, but we give you traits to practically apply immediately after the episode. This is a good one, guys. So let's roll into it.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Business and Biceps. And you better wake your ass up, because on today's show, we're going to talk about what we were going to talk about last week, which is just do it. Quit sitting on the sidelines. Quit asking for fucking permission and just make it happen. And I guarantee we're going to have some stories from the co-host today, from Johnny Fosco, from Maurice Claret, and I'm Cory Gregory, and we cannot wait to share our stories of how you get off your ass and go make it happen. But first, it's brought to you by Boston Sword and Tuna. If you want that fresh East Coast seafood delivered straight to your door overnight, go to shop.bstseafood.com. The promo code BIZBUYS15 will give you 15% off. And if you want to make sure you have just the dopest photos that you won't get in trouble for your website, for design, make sure you can go to 2020.com, and that's TWENTY, the number 20.com/biceps. And if you want 5 free photos that are probably of John Fosco with his shirt off, you can get them there and make sure that you won't have any infringement rights on your website. They have over 350,000 photographers that have corrugated their information there that you can pick from. And you got to check out 2020.com. You guys got to go check out and support the people that are supporting your learning, because they have been supporting us. And last but not least, we built the podcast on it. Make sure you check out maxeffortmuscle.com. You should build a stack today. Any 3 products for $100 with a free t-shirt, and any 5 products for $160 with a free t-shirt. And we'd appreciate for you guys to check it out, because this whole time we built the podcast was talking about building Max. So, all right, guys, I think we jump right into the show. We ain't messing around. This is like going to be a hard hitting topic of, not overthinking so you can get your shit rolling. So I want to start with John Fosco, because he's the most direct motherfucker I know. So John, if they're out there and they're overthinking the process, when you hear like just go, just do it, get moving in a business, like what kind of come to mind, man?
Everybody does something for the first time. So I couple that statement with courage, because I think we all look at people with success, or we all read books on how to acquire skills, or we go to school, or we talk to people, or we look for mentors. What we have to remember is whoever we're learning from, whoever we are speaking to, whoever we're looking up to for advice has done something for the first time, and you are trying to build your confidence up to do something for the first time. And it's like, listen, this is an experience that every single human being has shared that has chosen to start their own endeavor. So you are not alone. This challenge is not unique to you. This is something everyone goes through. There's going to be bumps along the road. You're not going to do it right, although you might do some things that are right, but it's a constant process of learning and evolution. And once you say, okay, everybody does something for the first time, that gives me comfort. That gives me, Steve Jobs did something for the first time. Warren Buffett did something for the first time. And along their path and along the road, they refined it and they refined it and they refined it. But there was a day when they started, and that took what we all have inside us, right? That took courage. So I think to start off the show, my message to everybody is everybody does something for the first time that chooses to get involved in business or an endeavor. So don't feel like, oh my God, I'm doing this crazy. No, you're not doing this crazy thing. You're doing what millions and millions and millions and millions of others have. So give it a shot and use some of that courage you got in your gut.
Yeah, I'll just build on to that, John. And literally, I was going to go down the same pathway when it came to talking about courage. But one thing I wanted to add on to the top of that is that that feeling never goes away. Like you say, you're always going to do something for the first time, especially when you're living out your dreams or living out your imagination. You're sort of trying to take your boat into uncharted water. And I think that each moment that you are courageous or that you do just do it instead of overthinking shit or beating yourself up or thinking something isn't going to happen or putting this fear of failure on yourself. Every time that you implement that courage and you gain an experience out of it, be it your desired results or not the results that you want, you actually just build up this storage tank full of courage to be able to accomplish more stuff. And I'm pretty sure this goes for both of y'all. I'm pretty sure the more that you've done entrepreneurial things, the easier it is to go into the next thing. And even though that even though there is this sense that this is my first time doing it, the fact that you've done it so much before, it just gives a sense of comfort, even though you know you're doing it for the first time. And so for me, when I'm talking about just doing something, I think I was able to pull that from football. And so, believe it or not, most guys who play football, when every first start of the season rolls around, every guy is like cringing at the thought of banging his head into another guy. And I'm pretty sure this may be the same thing with weightlifting, with lifting super heavyweight, and it may be the same thing with mixed martial arts, where you got to go in there and just bang your fucking head. But the guy who wins or the guy who has the most success is the guy who just go in there and say, fuck it, I'm going to just dive in. I'm going to be the first guy in hitting drills. I'm going to be the first one to fuck myself up in win, lose, or draw, but I'm going to go out here and do it. And once you get past that initial hit or you get over those initial butterflies, then, you know, you're in the groove of things and your natural talent takes over or your level of preparedness definitely sets in and you begin to function how you can be conditioned, trained, or educated. But the biggest thing is just to remember that your fear of getting involved with something that is very normal, and it's not even fear. It's just a feeling that, hey, I'm about to do something I've never embarked upon. And so it's just to say like, hey, let me get this up under my belt so the next time that I venture to do something and live out my dreams, that it won't be as nerve-wracking or catastrophic. And whether you get your desired results or results that you didn't desire, you know, at least you'll learn something and know where you have to go from there to go to the next step. But that's where I'll stop it and push it over to Cory, and hopefully the conversation unfolds.
Yeah, I think it's like, look, no one's just a champion out the gate. Like even Rocky said, everybody's a contender, right? That at the end of the day, like I think a lot of people overthink that they're not going to match up against, like if you're just starting sales, you can't match yourself up against John Fosco. If you're just starting fitness, you can't match yourself. Like you shouldn't be looking, you might look for inspiration from people that you kind of, you know, aspire to be like, but you got to go through it your first time. There's going to be pressure. You're going to feel uncomfortable, but you got to be able to have belief in yourself that you got to get through that. And here's one thing that I've kind of noticed is that you build these things up in your mind. And then after you get through them, whether it's a hard conversation you want to have with somebody, or it's a new business venture, or it's speaking in front of the public, or whatever it is in your brain that you're overthinking that's holding you back, your thoughts are going to manifest either way. So if that's all you're worrying about all the time, well, usually even when you get through that, it's not near as bad as you thought it was, or you realize that you overcomplicated the situation. It almost happens every time. So I just think that get out of your own way. And I don't think you'd be reckless with your thoughts or with your, don't calculate the way you do your business moves, but it holds everybody back. And I used to talk about this all the time. Like Nike made $1 billion off a logo that said, just do it, with a swoosh. Like that's literally because nothing is ever all the way right. It's just not. Like every day as a businessman, you are fixing something. Every day you're finding a solution. Now, some are greater than others, but at the end of the day, like it's always a work in progress. And I'll tell you guys a quick story. So back in the day when I was doing personal training, I had this idea. I'm like, I want to figure out, and I mentioned it before, how I could get my name in all the gyms in Columbus. So I could get my name out there to these bigger gyms, World Gym and all these places. So these competitors would know who I was. And I started this organization called the Ohio Natural Bodybuilding Federation. And I said, I'm going to put on bodybuilding shows. I'm going to do drug testing. I'm going to do all these things. And I literally used to have people come up to me and go like, I don't get how you did this. And I'd be like, what do you mean? Who did you have to ask to start it? I said, motherfucker, I have to ask nobody. What do you mean? They're like, well, I don't get it. Like you just started your own organization. I'm like, yeah. You think Joe Weider asked somebody if he was going to start the IFBB? You think this dude asked somebody? Like, no, you didn't ask nobody. You just do it. And if you fuck it up, you fix it along the way. And so I just think that if you're sitting here as a listener and you're listening to us three crazy ass people, well, the reason why we're here is because we don't overthink the process. We know and believe in ourselves, and we're optimistic enough that we can figure it out along the way. And honestly, most people just overthink themselves completely out of success. I really believe that.
Well, I'll add on. Go ahead, John.
No, I was just going to add on to Cory's point about like, you don't have to ask anybody to do anything. And I'll look at my personal career. And there was a time when I, just like Cory, spent a lot of money on sponsorship and marketing. And where I built my largest business was in managing fighters. And to be a manager, to be an agent, you have to be a lawyer. And my first incident was I was a 26-year-old selling T-shirts and boxing gloves. And a fighter asked me, can you manage me? And I told him, you know what? I'm not a lawyer. I don't have this background, but I absolutely can fucking manage you, because I didn't feel the need to go ask people, well, do I need this? Do I need that? Like Mark Cuban famously says, I bring this up all the time. If somebody else can do it, I know I can do it better. And for everybody listening, just let that statement sink in a little bit. If someone else can do it, I know I can do it better. All that is confidence, right? And a commitment to figure things out and apply a work ethic. So when Cory's talking about not asking anybody to do anything, any project that any listener is thinking about requires no permission from anybody but yourself. You have to ask yourself, am I willing to commit? Am I willing to go all in? Because when you just do it and you go in, there is no 80% in. It's all in all the time, every day. That's how you learn. That's how you constantly add tools. That's how you add to your skill set, straight up. So I just had a thought, Mo, when Cory said you don't have to ask anybody anything, but I'll hand the ball off to you.
Oh, no, that was my same thing. I think it may have triggered the same thought in me. And I'm saying this story just to give the listeners confidence. And when I just think about what I'm into now, all I had was an idea and to say that I want to. want to be involved in the business that I am in now. And traditionally, if you went through a traditional setting, you'll need so many licensure and so many years of schooling and so much of everything else. But the fact that I just naturally don't subscribe to any of that stuff, I just feel like if you feel you can do something, you can do it. Now there's certain industries that you do have to have a license for to participate in different parts of the business, i.e. a lawyer, but you don't have to be a lawyer to own a law firm. You know what I'm saying? You can just own the law firm that lawyers practice law out of, or you can own the doctor's office that physicians practice out of, or a specialty practice. But but to be a tactician or to do the tactical stuff, you need a license for it. But I was saying all that to say this. Sometimes not knowing what's ahead, it works to your advantage, because not knowing, you don't give yourself a chance to say, hey, no, I'm not about to jump out of the airplane. I'm not about to go up here 50,000 feet and jump out of the fucking plane, because I know I'll get discouraged by this, that, and the other. And I think another thing to your point, John, I think one thing that may be commonly, or that we may all have in common that I lean on, one reason that I'm not scared of shit or to be involved in anything, is because I have a fucking crazy ass work ethic. So I always believe that at some point I can save myself just by working my ass off. Now, do I want to work my ass off to save myself from it? No. But I'll never be in a situation where I won't be willing to work, or I won't be willing to work myself out of a bad situation, or I got a work ethic to the point where I'll figure this shit out at some point, or I'll find out some point and basically go from there. And so a listener can take that away. Like, just not knowing is not a bad thing sometimes, because you'll be so invested into something that you say, okay, like, here we go. Another prime example. I got so invested financially and from a time standpoint into what I'm into now, that I said, man, I'm too far on the fucking ocean to swim back to the shore. I got to make it to the other end. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you got hundreds of thousands of dollars into something, and if you drop it, there's nothing else that you can do. You like, shit, like, I have to figure it out. Or like, what's the other option? Like, motherfucker, you got to make it to the other side. Like, I kind of burnt my own fucking boat, and I was just out there. So not knowing is not a bad thing sometimes, but then also, like, if you really want to like get to a place in your mind where you're comfortable, just realize, like, okay, if worst case scenario, I can just put myself in a position to work my ass off. And if you know that you'll come through for you, then you're in a good place. And so those two things you can mentally take something away from that.
But don't you believe, real quick question on what Mo said, don't you believe, Mo, that not knowing is a constant? Like, I don't care 100%, who you are.
100%.
Okay. I want to clarify that for the listener, because, it's like, I always think to myself, it's like, what are like little like words or little phrases I can give to people to motivate them to do it? And it's like, if you think about it like this, here, today is the day I start without all the answers, right? Everyone's worried that they don't have all the answers. And here's the truth.
Answers is security, Johnny. That's why.
Well, but you don't have all the answers.
I know. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah. Like, so if people who are listening can say to themselves, like, oh, okay, shit, that's what's been holding me back. So today is the day I start without all the answers, but I'm fucking comfortable with that, because I believe in the fact that if I start, that's how I will accumulate those answers that I don't have. If I never fucking start, I can read every Inc. magazine, every Fast Company magazine, every Fortune. I'm not going to get the answers that experience can provide for me.
100%.
So say to yourself, fucking right now, today is the day I start without all the answers, and see where it takes you. Because if you don't, you're never going to start.
Dude, 100%, John. I love it. A couple things I want to build on there. Two things I really picked out. One was betting on yourself, because it's like you have the confidence that you will figure it out, that you're a problem solver, or that your team is a problem solver, right? I think the preparation, the dedication, the self-education, the things we talk about, this all plays into that, right? To me, that's all part of when you get that confidence to go on your own, that's what you're preparing for. And so you can be like, all right, if shit hits the fan, I can bet on me to rely on the work ethic that you talked about, Reese. Because at the end of the day, whatever it takes for that business to work, you're willing to do it.
100%.
No question.
Yes, sir.
Same here. Same with Johnny, right? Everything. And there's a guy that Instagram messaged me yesterday. He said, man, I got 2 clients, but I'm having a hard time getting to 3. And he said, but how did you get from personal training people in the gym to what you're doing at Cory G Fitness? I was like, bro, I grinded that business for 10 years straight before anybody even really knew my name.
But Cory, I love these guys, but that guy needs a slap in the head to wake up a little bit.
That's what I told him. I said, but bro, what you don't get is every waking second of my day at 20 years old was based around me getting clients. I wasn't going to school and working a side job, and it was all in, bet on myself, prepare, work on like that. I think that's what's missing. There's like, one, there's lack of patience. 2, there's like expectations that's supposed to happen overnight. And at the end of the day, it's like that shit took a long fucking time. And through that process, right? One more second. Through that process was so much growth of going to speak. Man, I used to go to these little network events and have to stand up and speak in front of 30 business owners that were, I was half their age. I had to represent myself. Like there were so many of these little things that built upon my confidence and then when I would hit another groove and I would realize, yeah, I'm cool. I got this. And then I hit another groove and over time, that's what I built upon. And then what would happen is when I would knock out something that I would deem like kind of big for me at that time, I would realize whatever I manufactured in my mind, similar to when these interns come to Max Effort, right? They see it on Instagram. They see, the people that we work with, the celebrities, and they hear the podcast, Johnny, and then they manufacture like all this stuff. And then they walk in and they're like, wait a second. All right. They pack in the sacks. Cory's over here working with these guys on marketing. Johnny's calling Jacob right now, working on this with the gear. We're doing flavors together. Like they see that like, yeah, it's a big deal, but it's not it's not something I can't grasp that could happen for me. I just think people fucking throw stuff way out of touch and then they talk themselves out of it. So I don't know. That was a little all over the place, but that was what was in my brain.
Well, I wanted you to slow down because I think that you may have hit on something that I don't want people to skim over. And,
okay, go ahead.
And we talked about just do it, but I think, and this is just my personal experience just from building something right now. And it goes back into, remember I said, John, remember I live very humble. I could be doing much more, but I know I got to set my foundation a little bit different. So I'm cleaning up credit. I'm paying back old taxes. There's so much other stuff that I'm doing fundamentally that sets a better foundation because I'm patient. And I think, Cory, what you just said, like, we live in a generation where it's like super instant gratification. And I don't want to take the time to build, but as you're building it, just think about all of the other things that you learned through personal training as you built your business that gives it staying power. When you learned about culture, when you learned about pace, when you learned about environment, when you learned about just
how to deal with people, man.
How to deal
everything.
Look at your shitload of content that you have and your rhyme and reason behind the content, and that's a great. That's just something great for young people to take in general because like trying to rush through something and go from, and it's not that it's impossible, but you can be a flash in the pan success. You can be here today, gone tomorrow, or you can be somebody who builds a career. Like even with John, you're an entrepreneur. You've done things and different things, but you're building a career of entrepreneurial activities. You know what I'm saying? So things that you have learned along the way allow you to allow things to stay. And I'm learning now that, like, can I accelerate what we're doing at the Red Zone? I could probably call 5 guys to give me money, and I can have this thing rocking and rolling in 55 different cities. But
you're talking to one of them.
Yeah, I mean, but if I'm not careful and I don't understand the fundamentals, then it'll be all for nothing and it'll break down. And you'll have a bunch of things going on, and it'll look good for Instagram. But until you have your feet and everything up under you, so just like they're like, so like John, I stole this and I said it to somebody yesterday. when you said what, like how much are you worth or how much you getting paid, and what you said, like you're worth what you're getting paid right now. So the guy who talked about those 2 clients, Cory, that's all he's worth right now, because that's all he's able to advertise. That's all he's able to go get. Yep. And that's who he is. And maybe he needs to learn something else. So what's the process to get to Cory G Fitness and Max Effort? What's the process to
Here's what I think it is, Mo, I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to hit this point real quick, is that John, myself, we're all building or have built local businesses first.
Yes.
And that's not a knock on the internet. I'm not trying to sound old. I'm just trying to let people know that the skills that I achieved in 10 years of personal training with one-on-one in groups and interaction with people is how I tested and proven all my workouts and my techniques. And simultaneously while I was pushing my own body. So I was training all these people. I was training myself. I was competing. That 10 years, that 10,000 hours, that stuff, that's how I became Cory G Fitness. It wasn't because I just started a website. No one would fucking join it. Like, absolutely. That's what I'm trying to explain to these motherfuckers. Like, John had to be MMA stop before John was running budgets of $1 million, right? I mean, that's just so I always tell people, like, look, you want to put that you're an international personal trainer because you got an online client in Ireland. Cool. I get it. I got motherfuckers in over 100 countries. I get it. But at the end of the day, can you train Susie that lives down the street and get her to lose 25 pounds? Like, I really believe that, with the spot we live in, that you got to be able to build, like, I think you got to be the biggest trainer, or maybe the spot, like, where you live first. Like, I used to just say, how can I be known in this pond? Like, the world pond is pretty fucking big. I want to be, like, known in Columbus first.
Absolutely.
That's got to be my first. So I just think people get ahead of themselves wanting to say, I'm an international this, when you got to be the motherfucking local this first. That's my take.
Well, you got to be the local this in something like that. And I completely agree with what you said. But now, because we may be talking to people who live literally in the digital age and everything they're going to do is digital and the economy is global, it's almost like this. If your burn rate isn't cash at the beginning, when I say burn rate, guys, what I mean is what it costs on a monthly basis to run your business. If your burn rate is your time, that's a blessing. And let me tell you why. Because you have to be committed to only one thing when you go all in, when you just do it, when you start. The one thing you must be committed to is learning. You must be committed to learning. You cannot be committed to, I got to make this money month 1. I got to make this money month 2. If it's about your time, that means that you have the luxury to fucking learn and say, oh shit, the way I launched 3 months ago, dude, it's been 3 months and I'm doing things the opposite way. But that is amazing because I was able to observe, see how people responded to me, and then change the way I do business. That is a great thing. Now, if you have a burn rate, if you have money running against you, it is harder to do that. But I want people to remember this. And to Cory's point about someone messaging him, and when I look at, my career, which is more just like business in general, shit is not linear. When we start something, I'm a personal trainer. John Fosco started selling memberships at a gym. I started selling. Shit isn't linear. You don't go from A to B to C to D. What you do is you get in the game, right? When you just do it, you're getting in the game. And when you're in the game, you meet people and you come across opportunities that may give you the ability to turn left when you never thought you were going to turn left. But guess what? Turning left is where the opportunity is. Absolutely. That's exactly what I do in my life. So as a businessman, I'm always looking. My eye is on the prize. But listen, if there's a semi truck coming at me, right, which is, let's say, a marketplace that I'm involved with that is dipping and is about to die, I got to fucking turn left and get the fuck out the way. Even though I thought that's where I was going, I cannot think in a linear fashion. I have to move with the markets. I have to keep my mind on what's going on. And you always have to be aware of your surroundings and the people around you. That is connected with just doing it, because when you just do it, you get in the game and give yourself the opportunity to make these decisions.
I think that point, John, I want to elaborate on real quick, and I'll throw it back to Reese, is that entry point, right? People see how I talked about this to these young dudes at the gym all the time. They see how I operate now, but that's like since 99, I built all this to operate like I operate now. And that's why I try to explain, like, the entry point and that dude that's struggling to get his third client off of 2, that's where it's all at. That's where you feel like, that's where you find what you're made of, right? When you can't pay the rent because you need 10 clients and you got 2, that's when you really figure it out. And I think that when you deliver for yourself enough times in those situations, like, I gotta have this or I'm losing that's really where the ball sack grows, everybody. Like, that straight up, like, I mean, fucking right, Reese? that is what it is to me. Like, those ball sack moments, for lack of a better fucking term that I can think of,
that's the only way to say it.
That is what they are. And you know what? And I've been through enough of them, and there'll be more of them that'll come up with what John and I are building and what we're building as a team here at B&B. And it's like, that's where you see what you're made of. And I just used to say, like, man, just like a ball player, like, fuck it, put me in, because I know I can bet on me and my guys I'm rolling with, right? That's what it comes down to in business, is like, you can't see yourself beside this motherfucker in the foxhole, then you better get a new motherfucker that's rolling with you. And I think that's how it has to happen. And I think that those moments are everything. It's when it's the ball and it's like, hey, you're it's the goal line. It's the national championship. Reese, you wanted that ball more than anything because you knew you'd get it over the line. That's
Absolutely.
It. And that's the same way I look at it. And that's why it's really fun to be an entrepreneur. Everybody's an entrepreneur, but when you got to do entrepreneurial like hard ass shit, that is what separates the talent and the work ethic and all this other stuff. That's how you become successful.
Yeah. One thing I want to clarify real quick is because I'm stuck on this question this guy asked you about Cory G Fitness, right? Okay. Sure. So what I really meant with the nonlinear fashion is Cory lifted weights first. Cory was a personal trainer, right? Then Cory had his own little studio. Then Cory worked a job consulting for multi-level marketing companies. Then Cory opened Old School Gym, right? Yep. Then Cory started Muscle Farm. It's not like Cory G Fitness was started 20 years ago and you followed a linear path to build Cory G Fitness into what it is today. You had the ability to shuffle and move to the side and say, okay, this piece will take me to here. So many people think, okay, I want a max effort muscle company. I don't know shit about supplements. I don't know shit about marketing. I don't know shit about shit. But if I start today, in 10 years, it's going to be a monster. Motherfucker, you need to accumulate these skill sets that will build that. And those skill sets come from many other facets of business.
100%.
I never want anybody to think that any experience in business, whether you view it as a success or a failure, is a failure, because that's how you learn when you go to launch that supplement company, how the fuck to do it.
Well, but John, I said, but John, here we go. I don't want them to miss that, right? They can't miss that you acquire those experiences by constantly just doing it. Like you constantly, the more shit that you take on, the more new experiences that you have. Like me, I wasn't and I still wouldn't call myself an accounting expert, but the closer I am to our books and understanding how money works and understanding the true cost of employees and understanding everything financial red zone and everything HR red zone and so on and so forth, I have a better grasp of numbers. And so I'm a lot more comfortable with them because I understand how they work. And
business Reese.
Yeah, but before, often, but these are things often we don't touch. Like, so when you think about your dreams, you don't think about the mechanical part of it. You don't think about the mechanisms that make the business go, or the financial impact that a decision does have. Like, so when I was thinking about building the red zone, I didn't think like, okay, this is the financial impact. I just talked about what I wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? So like when John's sitting here is talking about burn rate, you can say overhead, whatever language you want to say. So, as much as this guy said, hey, I want to be with Cory G Fitness, nobody understands the operational component or the overhead to make this stuff happen, or what does it take to fund this? But or what does it take to sustain this, and where is that capital going to come from? And this morning, Cory, not to get too personal, but we're talking about taxes. You know what I'm saying? This was a half-hour conversation before we even got on the phone. But these are the things that you don't know. But maybe that experience that John is talking about, when you go left or you go in another direction to learn a different experience, you have to just do it because you say, okay, I think like this. When I got into the transportation industry, I got into the industry, but what it taught me most was just to manage people. Like I thought that I was in it to make money, but it was preparing me to do the red zone. And the biggest thing that I pulled away from transportation was just the influx of employees coming in, coming out, hiring, firing, how to manage people, how to motivate them. And then when I got into the red zone, it was so much easier because I had a framework. I was like, oh, I built these motherfuckers before. I know how, I know how to do this. Like I see it, I see it coming. I'm pretty sure that the red zone, even though I would want this thing to be a part of my life, because I just enjoy the social element of it, the social work with it, the mental health and addiction services, even though I enjoy that, I can imagine that this won't be the last big thing that I do in my life, but I'm pretty sure the things that I've done or that I've taken from the red zone, I can apply to whatever it is. And to John's point, it's not linear because I wasn't thinking like this will take me to that. It's just, I'll get into something else, but I'm pretty sure that the skills that I've acquired or that I keep on acquiring now, will definitely serve me at my next thing, but you only get them when you just do it.
Cory, I want to make a quick point about what Mo just said about skills, right? Think about me and you coming together on Max, right? So I come into the supplement business, right? I don't have experience outside of marketing it, right? So I learned all this formulation stuff. I'm paying attention to how you're formulating and all this with the product. But then I say, hey, Cory, what are the prices? And you'll go, oh, this is the prices for everything. And I'm like, hell no, those aren't the fucking prices. I don't know shit about shit. But I know that we can negotiate.
We're not paying
that shit down. So my point is yeah, exactly. Is that a guy who can master formulation and application can have a partner come in and say, hey, I'm going to add to this because we ain't paying that shit. We're paying 30% fucking less on this stuff. And those are skills, right? That I had an experience earlier on in my career. And I learned that if you go to the 7-Eleven and you buy a fucking banana, the price is negotiable. So I refuse to accept any pricing. And that, right? Okay.
So good.
And that is
I've seen it in action.
Hey, that's the truth. Okay. That is a product of previous experiences. And Cory's product of previous experiences where I learned, right, was formulation and all this shit. So it never stops ever. And in 10 years, we're going to have so many more skills from this situation.
Well, what I want to build upon too, John, and thanks for voicing that. That was really good. Is also the part of like the opportunities, right? Both of you guys, Maurice, you saw the transportation opportunity that built upon skills that you can rely on from the red zone. John, the multiple different businesses you've been have paid dividends to where we're doing still, once again, multiple different businesses. And it's like, it's never just like there's detours all over this path. Like I would have never thought I would have went from personal training to multi-level marketing to supplement to like, to internet sales to media. Like there's really no defined path. We have no clue. That's why there's no 5-year plans. Like my life has changed dramatically in 12 months, 16 months, 24 months before. And it has considerably since I've been in business. The only thing that really stayed, I'll call it the same for me, was the first 3 years of my business. And it never stayed the same. I got better. My stuff got nicer. I got busier. The actual services I was doing, I was refining and getting my kind of feet wet. So the first 36 months of personal training in my little studio, I would say they were in the ballpark of similar. But after that, my shit's changed constantly on what opportunities have come to me that I've sifted through and tried to progress myself. And so I think at the end of the day, like, it isn't just a straight up arrow path. There's all these detours, just like when you drive to your friend's house and you detour there and you detour there, they're all getting you ready for what hopefully that bigger move is, if that's what you're after. And I believe all these things that we've done, that's what it's got us ready for. What's next.
I'll say this, Cory, this is what happens. I think you come out, I think you start into a direction, and I think that we have basic direction that we want to go. And then I think the experiences, the experiences show us who we are. You know what I'm saying? And the experiences also show you what you need to learn to get better, right? And I believe as you get better, you get more educated, you acquire more skills. And as life unfolds and changes, you know, to John's point, I think you just naturally recognize different opportunities because like experiences change you. You know what I'm saying? And you say, hey, based upon my attitude and the experiences that I have and the skills that I've acquired, I can just go tackle this shit. You know what I'm saying? And I just even thought about this as y'all sitting here thinking. I was like, man, like how much shit did I take from prison? Even though prison was a different experience, I'm pretty sure there was a level of like just callousness I've taken towards the different opportunities. Like, what do I have to lose? You know, so like
perspective, like perspective from that is ridiculous, bro.
But I'm just asking like how that has been more beneficial to my life than detrimental in some ways, to where you're just not like super fearless. You're not full of fear, like, oh, the world will fall down. I'm like, okay, well, I've experienced that shit. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, anything short of that shit, you know, I'm pretty comfortable with dealing with. And so, I mean, I'm all saying this to gather comfort around a person's head. Like, be totally cool and comfortable, like the title of just fucking doing it. And as you acquire skills and as you acquire experiences, then as life changes, as internets and technologies have obviously changed the scope of things. And, you know, when I got out of prison, Instagram wasn't even a thing. And I'm pretty sure within the next 2 or 3 years, there can be some other app that everybody's using. And you know, I didn't know a Snapchat, none of that shit was, but I'm pretty sure within the next 5 years, next 3 years, could be 2, who knows, there'll be something that changes the dynamic of who we all are. But the biggest thing is that you have to gather some core competencies that lets you know who you are. And I think that out of anything, I think that's why we laugh at John, but I think John gets that he knows who the fuck he is. And I think if I say, Cory, you know who you are, and I think I know who I am. And I think all of these experiences of just doing it, those things allow you to be like, okay, this is who I am. But I think when you first starting out, like, you're developing your core competencies and this is who the fuck I am. You know what I'm saying? And this is what I'm interested in, and this is what I can take on. But, you know, just like me, when I was younger, you want everything overnight. Like, don't be afraid to do shit, and don't be afraid to aim large, but understand there's a process to it all. But like, be fearful, but mindful that you have to be fearless, not fearful. Be fearless, but mindful that there's things that you have to gather while you're trying to build whatever empire that you're trying to put together.
Yeah.
I'm going to say something real quick, John. What kind of ran in my mind is that I remember being 20 years old and just thinking, how can I get this chick that I'm training to bring her friend? How can I get her to tell her friends? Like, the process of the 20-year-old trainer, Cory, to try to build my business. Okay. Now fast forward, all the skills, all the stuff we talked about today, I'm evaluating an Instagram ad that I'm testing that is only in India, that I'm getting 7 cents a click to my membership page from Instagram. Like, the skill that I'm trying to get that girl to bring her friend in Reynoldsburg, Ohio, to my little ass studio 20 years ago, I'm able to apply now in today's marketplace to maybe help somebody lose weight.
Absolutely.
That I'll never meet, that is in India, that might have just clicked that button. Like, it doesn't just happen. It takes a really long time of having these things happen that you got to keep stepping up. Like, to me, it almost is like business is going to step to you, and you're going to, and it's all how you adapt and how you move and how you ball check at that time and how you get through it. And then you're going to move again, and you're going to go this way or that way. And then it's going to step to you again, and it's going to keep fucking stepping to you. And every time you can get through that adversity and you keep just doing it and you keep coming fucking back, That's how you eventually win, I believe. I just think that it's a true relentlessness to fucking get it. Like, no matter what, I just fucking want it. Like, that's why I try to tell this dude from Instagram, I don't think you understand the difference of how I felt at that point in time compared to what you're telling me right now. Like, it's a whole different animal.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be feeling, but it's also got to be an accumulation of experiences, right? So you're talking about a girl in Reynoldsburg, Ohio, and testing Instagram ads in India. That's just accumulating experience over time from just doing it and putting yourself in situations. So you've accumulated all these things. And that's what I want to make clear to people. Like, when you accumulate these things, they don't always come with a fat paycheck. No. So don't set your sights on a fat paycheck. Because the accumulation of, hey, has anybody ever met someone who is really interesting and can teach them something that didn't have a fuck ton of life experiences? I never have. I've never met anybody that was interesting or could teach me shit that did not have a collection of life experience.
Definition of fuck ton.
Right. Straight up. So
that's the truth, though.
If you never just do it, how the fuck are you going to develop into that person?
Absolutely.
You're not going to develop into that person. Well, let me tell you what that person is not afraid of. That person is not afraid of being uncomfortable, because we all know it's uncomfortable as fuck when you don't know the answer to what you're about to do. But the tragedy in all of it would be not doing it because you don't have the answer. So how do you get the answer? How the fuck do you get it? You just do it.
Hey, this motherfucker.
I'm such a John Fosco fan. You have no clue. John, I'm starting the fucking fan club. I fucking love it.
Hey, all right. So I had something serious to say.
Right. It's halftime. Right. Hey, yo, it's halftime.
Hey, Johnny, it's halftime. And listen, I'm greased up. I got pictures taken. It's, they're going straight to 2020.com.
Hey, I got a promise for you, Corey.
I know you're building your new website. Listen, I know you're building your new website for your stripper. I know you're a stripper on the side, and you're building a website if you need pictures for it.
Hey, listen, I know one thing. If you put those photos up, not one person's going to buy it.
But John, they're free. If you go to 2020.com/biceps, you can get 5 for free for your website of me.
Hey, listen, if we're talking about me greased up, now we're talking about shutting down servers. We're talking about shutting down the amount of servers Google, Apple, Facebook,
all of them.
Amazon, all of them combined, shutting them all down. The problem is that would actually be a national security threat if they gave away my photos for free.
So, but the point is, if you're going to build a website, you can't just rip pictures off the internet of random shit and put it up there and then sell stuff around it. It is infringement. So if you want to be a serious ass fucking business person, you got to look at 2020 when you're building this stuff. Basically, they have 350,000 photographers that have all this info there, all these pictures and all these resources.
I have something to say. If you're a photographer,
yes,
and you're not lazy, a lazy photographer, then you could definitely go to 2020, and you can make some money. But you can't be lazy, you can't be a lazy photographer.
Yeah, of course. Make sure you go to the TWENTY20.com/biceps for your free 5-photo trial. They want you to check it out. They want you to show you, basically you can make your website look ultra dope by using 2020.
Yeah, lots of pictures of my dog, Bambino. You could put them all over your website.
And just like I saw my man Mike Scola's truck, even in St. John.
Oh, Cory, he was diving.
Boston,
Cory, he was scuba diving, dude. He was like 2,000 feet under the sea, like the Little Mermaid under the sea. The song was going, all that stuff. And he was grabbing the flounder. He was grabbing crab. He was grabbing lobster. And listen, Mike does not just dive. Mikey Scola does not just dive in the Boston Harbor. This man goes on, like, he might be the most interesting man in the world. Now that the guy from Dos Equis has changed, I really think Mike Scola could take that spot, because I don't know. Listen, I don't know too many other guys who go like Jacques Cousteau, 4,000 feet under the water where it's black, and they come up and they bring octopus. Dude, I heard he was fighting an octopus, like a 40-foot octopus, and he won. And then he sliced it up, and then he put it on ice, and he sent it out to me the next day. This guy's serious about his business.
So Mike Scola is the new Dos Equis guy.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Accurate? So shop.bstseafood.com, Mike Scola is the new most interesting man in the world, because he will dive by himself and grab scallops out of the sea and throw them into the boat. He grabs flounder and mussels, and you don't want to miss it. But if you want to get that fresh, the next day, straight to your door, he has fresh or frozen packs available in a large variety. You got to support my man Mike Scola at shop.bstseafood.com. Promo code BIZBIS15 gives you 15% off. John, I'm going to tell you about Max Ever Muscle real quick. I got to give you some props. The energy formula that, you came to me and was like, dude, we got to create. I'm tired of drinking fucking Monster. I'm spending way too much money. Even the guy at the Dairy Mart on the corner, he might be mad at you because he ain't making the money. He was making his house payment on John Fosco. And now, because we have the energy formula, which is way better for you, and it's moving well, it tastes amazing. It's like it'd be like buying an energy drink for like 80 cents,
dude. And you know what? It doesn't give you that jittery garbage crap feeling that Monster and Red Bull give you. This is really easy. You mix it with water. It's got aminos in it. And dude, you can focus on this stuff. Straight up, you can focus. I'm telling you, you can use it at any time. But if you're sipping on this thing, or you even down it before you go to work or before you go to school, you will not be mad. And guess what? You can also mix it with vodka, which I would recommend.
Yeah, I need to do that. It tastes super good. John, let's round up halftime with let's talk about our new business, Podcast Influencer. Briefly.
Yeah. So Podcast Influencer's killing it. It's because the industry of podcasting is rolling over year. It's doubling. It's tripling. Some say it's going to quadruple in the next 2 years. So everybody has something to say. And the great thing about podcasts, if you're interested in flooring, if you're interested in cumulus clouds or palm trees, dude, there's other people in the world that have the same interest. You can create a podcast, you can create a listener base, and you can create revenue through sponsors and partners and create a community. Anybody can do this. So we've done it. We started the wrong way along the course of just doing it, right? We learned how to do it the right way. We've gathered all the tools that we have learned and also marketing the podcast, and we're presenting it to everybody at podcastinfluencer.com. We have several clients already. Everybody's winning. So if you have something to say, if you're already podcasting and you're like, dude, I need to have more people hear my podcast, we help you on marketing your podcast. So visit podcastinfluencer.com. It is changing the way people market and get started podcasting.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I mean, it's just in the spirit of this kind of podcast, like just doing things and opportunities present themselves. So I can't think of any other way to kind of segment right back to it. I'm having a blast. Let's go.
It's halftime. Hey, yo, it's halftime.
And I still got something to say, but I was over here crying as John was talking, man. Because I'm picturing, John, I'm laughing because I agree with all the stuff that you said, but just the way your delivery is perfect, right?
So good.
It's perfect. But
well, because John fucking tells you I mean, we all kind of deliver this way, but John, you can hear it. He's like, motherfucker, this is the way it is.
Yes.
And quit crying about it and fucking get to work. That's what I hear when fucking John talks.
And when I'm hearing him talk, but he also he has said like everything doesn't come with a fat paycheck, right? So I'm thinking about the time when I first started speaking. The irony of all of this is that one of my probably first, I would say, 5 speeches that I was paid for was the place that I'm going to back today. And I was here probably back like in like 2013, right? So this is literally like 5 years later. But I literally, I'm so excited to get to this speech after we talk. Like legit, I got on stage. This was the only stage in my life that I ever got like stage fright. Like walked up on the stage and like total, like I had everything I wanted to say. I had all my fucking like words I was going to say and all this shit prepared. And it was like some old like doctored up shit that I thought like, I bet you this would get them moving, and boom, I got on stage and that shit was going. You know what I'm saying? But had I not gone through that experience, you know what I'm saying? And now mind you, like what they were paying me, like I was like probably getting paid like $500 to do it or something. Right. And so, but what they were paying me, like it didn't even matter. Like, but the experience from that moment allowed me to go back and address my inefficiencies. And eventually, like I was working on like the chitlin circuit, you know what I'm saying? You're working on like the underground, like the fucking underground scene. It's like when fucking rappers coming out, or if you're a fucking MMA fighter or whoever you are, you working on your local scene, but you working on your craft, and everything doesn't come with a big paycheck. And so now it's got to the point that I still do this stuff, one, to keep on working and perfecting what I'm doing. But it's got to the point now, like I don't even give a shit what they pay me. I just understand the value of being active and being speaking and being on top of my shit, and just to make sure I'm in that zone. But like to the point of this podcast, like had I not just got up there and did it and pushed through it and got those experiences and done that thing eventually helped me push myself around the country and learn how to speak. And then now I'm in a point now where I do this shit to stay sharp, because I understand the value of constantly just doing shit to constantly stay sharp, to constantly speak. And I'll constantly just put bogus ass speeches on my schedule, because I get called to speak all the time, right? And sometimes I'll say, okay, I feel like just speaking for people who will compensate me accordingly. And then sometimes if a person reaches out to me and they just say, hey, could you come speak down here? I won't even charge them a fucking dime, just because I want to stay in a groove and I want to stay in that mode where I'm connected and experienced and working on myself. But like to John's point from the last thing, everything doesn't come with the big ass paycheck all the time. And oftentimes the paycheck.
How about early on? It never does.
Early on, I was speaking at little league football teams, basketball teams, hockey teams, churches. I'm speaking to anywhere with anybody, and literally was making nothing. You know what I'm saying? This was just me going out here practicing. But I think people get hung up with that shit, that they'll deny an opportunity just because it doesn't have a paycheck. But I look at it differently. Like if I go in here, like I look at stuff like the dope game, right? Just seriously, right? So a lot of education comes from the drug game, wrong product, but great philosophies, right? So if dude's trying to get somebody on a team, or rather I'm trying to get you to hustle for me, if I'm trying to get a guy who uses drugs or a woman who uses drugs to test my drugs, I give it away to you, right? But if I know if I got good drugs, I know you're going to come back because the product sells itself. And so this is no different if you're a personal trainer. If I know I'm the shit, if I got something good to offer, hey man, look, you two come, have her come for free, right? You come for free. I'm going to work you out so well. I'm going to make sure that you have a great time. I'm going to be energetic, enthusiastic, and I'm going to put so much good energy in your life that you're going to be like, man, I have to pay this guy for this. I have to be a part.
That's what I did.
Like, it's just simple shit. Like, you know, how do they get you at the mall when you walk past the food court? Okay, I'm gonna give you these free samples away. That's the dope game. That's what you learn in the streets. You know what I'm saying?
The soft pretzel's the same as the dime bag.
let me go ahead and sample you up something and let you see what type of value I have, and then from there you're hooked. And if you have a great service, like if you believe in yourself and you want to bet on yourself, these are two different ways. Like if you have a great service, then give your service away to somebody, show them how great it is in comparison to something else, and then lock them in, but learn how to sell yourself and everything like that. But it's a great product. Give it to them and just call that your marketing. But don't think it as you're giving something away. This is part of my marketing budget, but I'm directly marketing it to people to try to get a return on my investment. And so it comes down to how you look at shit. But nonetheless, back to what I was saying about the Johnny Fosco thing is that everything doesn't have to be attached to a dollar, and monetary compensation isn't the only compensation that a person should be focused on solely when you're just beginning, because there's more shit that makes up business than, like, at the end of the day, the bottom line is the bottom line, but starting out, the monetary compensation can't be the only thing when you're trying to get your foot in the door.
Hell yeah.
Well, you just gotta, you can't be thinking you're so sweet that you can't do it for the, you want to do it, you want to get paid like us, not paid like what you deserve at the time. Kind of like back to your point, bringing that up the other day.
Man, look, I went to South Carolina. This guy was 27. He was a graduate assistant. He worked 4 years in Alabama being a graduate assistant. Now, when you're a graduate assistant, just for people who are understanding, you get like maybe like a minimal check of like $1,000 or so. You graduate with a bachelor's, right? And legitimately, they make you do all of the grunt work. You're going to pick up coffee. You're going to pick up food. You're going to pick up players from the airport. You're going to walk recruits around. You're going to check on big grown-ass college kids to see if they're in class. You're going everywhere to do all of the grunt work. When the field is fucked up, you're cleaning up all the pads off the field. You're going around to the locker room. You're making sure the locker room is cleaned up. You make sure guys are going to the study table. All of the supportive services, that allow college football to run the way it does. They grab all these graduate assistants and all these guys to do this work. And now, could these guys go elsewhere and get a legitimate job? Absolutely. But the investment, that these guys are making, they're getting the experience and they're understanding the operational component in hopes of one day getting a position coach job somewhere and building themselves into a coaching career. Now, everybody won't be a head coach, but that process sort of weeds out the guys who do have it and who don't have it. But you better believe the coach who's worked his way from a graduate assistant all the way to a head coach, he knows the supportive structure that needs to be in place from the ground up because he's lived it and he's experienced it. So if you go from Johnny Fosco, I just graduated college, I'm done with this, to head coach, there's so much shit that you won't learn, that you won't stay a head coach a long time because you won't even know the supportive structure to put in place to make sure that they support you and you're leading them accordingly, or you don't even understand the checks and balances. And so oftentimes, even when you're in these different entrepreneurial endeavors, like, you're learning what you're supposed to be learned to ultimately become who you want to become. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, think about what that system, it makes total sense, because think about what that system ultimately does, right? It's like, all right, well, we'll pay you $1,000 a month to get an opportunity to eventually get to where you want to go. And people are going to be looking at that person who's making $1,000 a month. And if that person does not give a fuck about the $1,000 a month and just loves the fact that they get to immerse themselves in the opportunity that they can eventually get to a point where their goal is, I want to be a head coach, I want to be this. That's all that person cares about if that person is going to get to their promised land, whatever that is. So if they think that person is doing it for the $1,000 a month, or if that person is doing it for $1,000 a month, it's a guaranteed failure. But anybody who knows what they want in life, right? You got to know what the fuck you want. Man, it's like I'm in the system. All I got to do is fucking do this shit because I love it. I want to be here 14 hours a day. I want them to kick me out when the motherfucking janitor comes in because I love this.
John,
I love it.
John.
And that's the hype. Yeah.
John, that was his attitude. What you're
embrace that long game, boy.
So, John, right? So just to give context to this, he said he spent 4 years at Alabama. To spend 4 years as a GA is a long time. But it's highly competitive at Alabama. Everybody wants those fucking jobs. You know what I'm saying? You got strength coach.
But 4 years to be a fly on the wall for Nick Saban's probably worth mad money, though, Reese. That experience.
Here we go, Corey. So look at all these guys who are head coaches within the system, right? Look at the collegiate system. Look, they're either coming from Urban Meyer's tree or they come from Nick Saban's tree in some form or fashion. So the operational component and it's just like when you talk about going into max effort, right? So the operations are how people do stuff, why they do stuff, and their pace for doing stuff is ultimately everybody's juice. That's what people don't have. They get close to you. They get to understand operations. Oh, this is how motherfuckers at a high level do it. Let me go ahead and do this. That's why South Carolina took a chance on him, right? But even now, and I think that there's some upside for the guy based upon how other people were talking about him. Like he didn't realize that they sent him to come and get me because they can trust him. So the fact that they give him certain missions and the nature of it, they like, okay, we can trust this guy. And they say, hey, we have an opportunity for him. We'll put him down with the squad. But 100%, he was embracing it. He was like, man, I know I can go make more money. I got a girl. She doesn't live here, but this is where I'm supposed to be at, because if I stick around and that coach looks left, he looks right, he see who he can depend on. He's going to give me that opportunity because I've been here and I've been making it happen and making it crack. But what he's doing is he's obeying the process and say, okay, it's not about the $1,000. This is about the experience, because this is my down payment. My sacrifice is my down payment for my future. And this is what it's going to take for me to get cracking.
Understanding the value of the timing, the opportunity, the spot you want to be in, like, to me, that's everything. And we've seen that happen multiple times with guys at Max and with B&B, with Jeremy, and like guys putting themselves in spots because they see where they want to be. They see how they want to learn. And I honestly think, like, when you're not sweating what the entry pay is, when you're not sweating the amount of hours that's supposed to go in, when you understand the value of being the fly on the wall, learning from people, understanding how things operate, honestly, I think it takes down part of the pressure that we talked about early in the show, which is people making something out so big in their head that they never go and do it, right? I think when you're around it, you start to think, well, shit, I can see myself doing that. Look, I can't do it right now, but I could work up to that, because I see the way that Cory operates. I see the way that John operates. I see that how these things can happen and manifest over time. And I think that once you take down that wall of what's behind the Wizard of Oz, the dude who was behind the Wizard of Oz fucking curtain was just some regular ass cat speaking on a microphone. Like, he wasn't a wizard, bro. Motherfucker, John's the wizard.
Well, of course, but then, that made me think into a deeper thought, Cory. So ask yourself, like, why do I want success so fast? Because I'm asking myself, why did I want it so fast, right? And I wanted it so fast to get ass from women. That was my whole thing. Like, let me live like I'm on empty.
I love how honest you are, Reese.
Yeah, I mean, but it's the truth, right? So let me rush my process to attract a bunch of women who probably shouldn't be in your life if they only want you for what you have. You feel where I'm coming from?
Sure.
And so, how many other men are putting external pressure on themselves to impress people or to get with the women who fundamentally aren't probably the women that you should be with, or to be established amongst a group of friends who only accept you because of what you have or what they perceive that you have. Yeah. If you have to rush and pose on the internet as if you have something that you don't have. And so, like, these are deeper things you can look into yourself. It's like, maybe I need to check myself, because, like, me, I don't give a fuck about what a motherfucker think about me, because I'm just doing my own thing. I'm beating to my own drum. I walk to my own music. And that brings so much comfort. And so for the person who's figuring he's thinking, like, I have to rush my process, I'll give you this small story. Like, as we talk, you're bringing up so many emotions, right? And this is factual proof. Warren Buffett, who's probably within the top 5 of guys with net worth in the world, right? And I don't know who's up there. I've seen many.
He's up there. He's in the top 5.
He's in the top 5, right? Warren Buffett didn't start rolling until 48. Go read it. It was the
guy who founded Ray Kroc, who founded McDonald's, founded it when I think he was 55.
Hey, he was a sales guy, Johnny. I watched the movie.
Yeah, he's crazy. 55 years old.
Just when I was in prison, believe it or not, I'm in prison. When I read that took so much pressure off me. Like, damn, maybe at 30, I don't have to have millions. You know what I'm saying? And let me please say this to
the listener real quick. I just want to say something, because you make a great point. To the listener who's fucking 22 and doesn't know what they fucking want, they all feel like the sky is pressing them into the ground because they're going to fucking, oh my God, if I don't have the job, the wife, the husband, the kids, the picket fence at 30, I'm fucked. I'm so fucked. I'm a failure.
But you're not.
Man, what you just said is the motherfucking truth. Because, dude, you're so young, and in that time, in your 20s, even in your 30s, don't put a timeline on it. It's about learning the process. The value is in the process. Because I can take any process any process, and I can go into any business, not because I'm a pro in MMA or I'm a pro in marketing or I'm a pro in retail or supplements. It's because I have a certain level of expertise in the process. So plug me into any business, motherfucker, it's going to work. It's going to work because I learned the process, right? That's where it is.
Hey, two things I know about John Fosco, right? You want him on your side of the table when you're negotiating. And this motherfucker knows how to make money. Straight up.
Thank you.
Hey. That's the truest thing I ever said on here. I've seen it happen time and time again. And you want this motherfucker on your team.
Thank you.
That's straight up it.
And don't fucking press yourself, man. Don't do it. Don't do it to yourself. Yeah. Don't put
people are in the pressure cooker, man.
For
real.
Like I know they watch these Instagram videos. I know they see guys driving around in Ferraris and Lambos and all that shit. I'm not hating on it, right? I was just in California. I'm around Bugattis, Ferraris, Phantoms, Lamborghinis, all the shit. It was cool to experience. That was cool to watch, right? But that's not where I'm at right now in my life, right? And for younger kids, I'm just telling y'all, and I don't call y'all kids, just young men who may be listening to this podcast, right? Like, and I'll say this because this is just an American thing. Like, not being a millionaire does not mean that you have a bad life, right? I think that's like this big misconception in the world. Like, if I don't have like Scrooge McDuck money, like, just I'm serious. This is shit I see. Like,
his name is Scrooge McDuck. Think about that.
Like, I'm telling you, but this is everyone alike. This is what I see on the internet. This is like, we pose to have these lives on the internet, in general, to say, hey, I got like massive amounts of disposable income and I got massive amounts of money everywhere. And even though that's cool and it sounds good and look for the picture, like, you can work a regular job or you can be a regular entrepreneur and have a great life. And there's other shit to appreciate than just like feeling like you have to have a Lamborghini to feel like you've arrived in life. And so I'm not hating on that by any means, but I just want to like.
Mo, let me ask you this about Lamborghinis because here's my take. When it comes to that shit, I think it is a slap in the face to the work people have done. And I think it demotivates people. And I think when you're talking about Lamborghinis and having multiple cars like that, I think whoever the fuck you are, you're whack as fuck. Because that amount of money, okay, number one, it's a horrible investment. And if you've worked your ass off to fucking make money, why the fuck are you investing like a fucking moron and showing the world? Number two, if you have 5, 6, 7, 8 Lamborghinis, all this fucking bullshit, that money, those millions of dollars can go towards doing good. So if you want to be a selfish fuck that needs to drive down the road and say, look at me, I've done better than you, then do that. But I don't know why people can't make a fuck ton of money, drive a fucking nice car, right? Maybe one nice car and have that be that. I think that's a problem with our society because we don't think about where that money can go. That money can help people. That money can open a treatment center. That money can go into scholarships. But I'm going to fucking have 6 Lamborghinis because I want the world to know that I think that's just fucking whack.
So right. There we go. These are things that obviously, John, that they don't perplex me, but they obviously raise thoughts. So I got friends. Here we go. I had a friend. I was over his house, and this is like I was over there for a week, probably 4 days. And he had a Maybach, a 2017 Maybach on the curb. He had a Bugatti on the curb. He had 2 Escalades. He had a Ferrari, a Rolls Royce, and 2 Ferraris.
So what's he need with that? What's he need with all that shit?
So right. So obviously, me as a 34-year-old man, when you come out here, you look at this stuff. You ask yourself, and so I generally work with people who are struggling with addiction or people who come from a lower economic background, right? And so as I look at it, I say, damn, this is a lot of shit. This is a lot of.
It's a show. It's a show.
But then when you talk, there's just different lives that so I'm not even sure that he realized that anything goes on outside of LA. So I will say that, not in his defense, But I don't even.
But Mo, you're a smart guy, Mo. You're a smart guy, and you know that's fucking that's selfish, bro. That's selfish.
Yes. So I have my opinions on it, right? So I have my opinions on it. I say this motherfucker is, it's a lot, you know what I mean? And if I had those resources, would they be allocated different? I would like to believe so. I can't say yes, I can't say it. I just say I would like to believe so, if I'm staying in a humble fashion. But I think that the fabric of what you're talking about is what attracts us. You know what I'm saying? And I'm up under the impression, man, that just as I needed help along the way, there's a tremendous amount of people just in our society in so many different ways who needs assistance. And I would like to believe that I would be, my heart would be in this place where I would say, hey, I don't need, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, $500,000 cars. But
we talked about spirituality though, right?
Yes.
And I know we're both believers in the man himself.
Yes.
WWJD, Mo. WWJD.
Yeah, no, I feel like this. We're in the same space. We're like, but then I got to this space, right? And I know this conversation it took like a crazy left turn, but you look at life, and as you're looking at these people, and they say all things are relative, right? So when you're around it, this guy is a billionaire, and this guy's worth probably 40, 50, 60 million, and you sit around and collectively you have a few $1 billion amongst the people that you're around. I had to ask myself, I said, is this like a fucking Toyota Camry to this guy? You know what I'm saying? So it makes me think like that. When you see these guys and the amount of money that they spend, I say, is this their normal? As like me and you would go buy 3 or 4 pair of shoes and spending $100,000 or $200,000 on a car relatively. So I don't know, but to your point, I've asked myself or thought myself, I was like, man, this is like whatever, but I think it affects me different because I see how many kids that we deal with who don't have, you know what I'm saying? And I understand how poverty is a big driver, believe it or not, for everybody who's listening to this podcast, not to say that people won't have problems, but poverty inside of inner cities, there's so many problems that spur from the instability in housing, the instability with cars breaking down, not having the appropriate transportation, not being able to pay for insurance for these cars. Not being able to pay for car repairs, and you buy a used car that's shitty, and you realize how much poverty drives other things. And you realize yourself, there's a lot of money in this world to solve some of our local issues here on American soil. And that's not to say things couldn't be solved elsewhere around the world, but you think of these things. And so,
hey, just think about how your man Warren Buffett rolls. Think about how Warren Buffett rolls.
So Warren Buffett brought great perspective. My man is in a, and I don't know if he's changed since then, but simple since then. My man's in a Cadillac, and one thing, and I told you the story, and when he had talked about it, he was like, I'm too busy handling my business, or I'm too engulfed inside of my business to even care about that. He said, I love to enjoy it, but he said, I really like working. And, at this point, we talking about lifestyle. And one thing he always talked about, he's like, business is a game, but he was like, I enjoy working, and that's what I enjoy doing. I don't like doing nothing else. And that just comes in the lifestyle and what, in what person you are and all that stuff. So not to say that one is worse than the other, but I tend to gravitate more towards Warren. I you grew up in Chicago. I grew up in Ohio. I think the demographic and how we were raised, definitely plays a role in how we view the world and seeing different facets of life. But if you've only grown up and you've been established in the 1%, and that's all and you've only seen things at a distance, maybe your upbringing is totally different based upon how you want to be seen amongst your peers.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of that kind of upbringing being different, today was the first day that I started training my son before school to try to sort of establish that.
My bad.
And so I picked like the most uncomfortable shit to do too. Like farmer's carries, like he was carrying weight up the stairs, like shit that was just like awkward on his shoulders and just fucking uncomfortable. And I was like,
what grade is he in?
We need a lot more of this. He's in 7th grade this time.
Man.
But we start a couple days a week, and we'll move up to where, and I'm hitting him with them. I'm hitting him with the shit that's probably way too deep for him already, but I was pumped today. I'm talking about being efficient, talking about getting out of bed, talking about this and that. It was funny, bro. But also needed in its time. You know, now he's not. I mean, 7th, 8th grade, man. That's when.
that's when you got to learn to defend yourself, man. Straight up.
Correct.
That's the time where you're going to get swallowed, or you're going to be able to, stand there like a man.
That's funny that you said that, because I told him that today. I said, "Yeah, this shit was uncomfortable, right? Yeah, real uncomfortable." I said, "Life is uncomfortable, buddy. Like, your life is a fucking vacation. And check this out. It's going to swallow you up and spit you out real quick. And daddy knows all about it." So we're about to start it now. I know it's just training. It's just about mindset. It's just about, I'm trying to teach him like just more consistency, efficiency in the mornings. And so he'll have a more productive day. Just the things I've been seeing lately. I was like, really the hardest part for me was trying to change my morning routine up to now include something else and me still be efficient. So that was a little tricky, but we're going to start a couple of days a week. But that's actually just kind of sparred that thought. Like, today was the first day of, and we're just going to do it a couple of days right now. But kind of get that motion, moving, because that 1%, which I like to think that I'm a part of, because I work so hard, as we all have, is that,
hey, your tax return states whether you're 1% or not. So you know it.
Fuck. Yeah, that's a whole nother.
Yeah. Hey, as we know, we all know. We feel that. We feel that pain. We feel that. Yeah.
But I think, kind of coming back to you guys' I know this is going long, but I think we got some good topics, so I'm going to keep it rolling. One of the things we talked about when you guys were talking about, Reese, you're talking about your guy having all those cars and all that stuff. And I, obviously I'm a big car guy, and I think a lot of that stuff roots from it comes from that poverty kind of, feel like when you're not, it's weird because like, I like nice things. I think that it's good to aspire to do and have things, but they can't really define you all the way. I think that's where people get tripped up. And I think even I did back in the day. Like, I was trying to aspire, like Maurice, you said you was chasing ass. Well, I was absolutely chasing money, 100%. But until my mind shifted about like helping people more, I quit chasing the dollar, and then it opened up all the way for me. And honestly, even when I've achieved some of the, let's call it stuff that I've wanted, it gave me like a cool feeling, but it definitely felt different than probably I dreamed about when I was like, is this possible? Right. Well, all those things do for me is just make me realize along the way that it's working and that I'm still not where I want to be, and I can enjoy these things. But at the end of the day, like I usually, like I'm excited about getting certain things, but overall, after a short period of time, it is just stuff, guys. And we all know that, right? Like a car's a car, a house is a house. But it's like, I never wanted those things to define what I was about or who I was. They're just part of the process for me.
But Cory, here's the difference. You're smart. So you go get.
Did I explain that right?
Yeah, you explained it right though. But you go get a Bentley, but you don't get it brand new. You get it in an affordable fashion, so you can have what you want, and it's affordable. Right. That's not what I'm saying. Is borderline silly, and I don't want to diss anybody. I don't want to diss Maurice's friend, but when you got $5-6 million, $3 million sitting in your driveway for people to look at, and you know that 3 of those cars are collecting dust, so your neighbors know you're the boss of that street. That says a lot about you, and the things it says about you aren't good things. That's what I think people need to really understand. That don't make you cool. That's like the fucking the dork. Not the dork, the kid who's rude in high school tries to buy off his friends, right? It's like, no, man, you can't buy me off. You're whack. But I just want to say this: when Mo was talking about wanting to be successful to get ass, and Cory, you were saying you want to be successful to accumulate money, right? I think back on it, and I think I realized early, like, okay, as we grow up, right, you can the physical stuff, right? Whether it be like competition, like, okay, unless you're going to be a professional athlete, that's gone. So I did it to beat you. So when I wanted to be successful, it wasn't for money or ass. It was because I was like, ooh, this is a way I can compete with anybody and beat you. And I highly suggest that to people because it's a productive mindset to try to accumulate tools. It doesn't matter if it's in what you love or what you don't love. If you're obsessed with accumulating tools in the game of business, you will win. You will win more often than not because other people are focused on other shit that don't matter. If all you want to do is win, winning doesn't have a price tag. Winning is winning. If you want to beat somebody, okay, you just need to accumulate these tools and you will get that W. And I think if people start looking at it like that and not so materialistic, they are setting themselves up to be prepared to work in any vertical, in any situation, and ultimately preparing themselves for success.
That was the change for me, Johnny, was I just worried about, like, I started to really quit thinking about the money and worrying about the elite interaction. Right. That's the best way for me to explain it, right? And that when I was like over delivering, one of Carnegie's in the book I love, The Wisdom of Andrew Carnegie, told by Napoleon Hill, that over deliver, going the extra mile is the chapter. It's like when I started understanding, like, if I over deliver this experience, and it's still to this day what I attempt to do every day on social media, every time I create content, every time I have interaction, every time I answer a DM, like if I can over deliver on that experience, all that other shit just happens. It just happens. I mean, it's like, and I think when I realized that pretty young, because I realized, like, when I was just chasing that dollar, putting a bunch of pressure on myself because I had really come from nothing. And that's all I could really, like, I get this money, do this, blah, blah, blah. But I just realized it was rooted in the wrong spot. And I got it pretty early, like young 20s. And I've had times where I've dipped in and out of that and had to recheck myself. And really, like, that made the difference for me. It was everything. And it still is to this day, because that right there, when you're not focused on that stuff or that money, that, like, John, it's going to sound funny when I say this, but you were concerned about winning. That got you the money in the ass.
Exactly.
Right? Because you were concerned about this. So that, and second, when I interviewed Tiger Woods and I asked him the first question, what gets Tiger Woods up in the morning? You know what he said? Yes. That's it. That was it. I mean, and he just laughed and he looked at me like, next question.
Right.
Like that, dude, that is fucking it. So when I see this guy tying for 40th on the Masters, dude, that fucking back hurting, the fire, like, I guarantee he's hitting a million balls the next day. Like,
what did Mo want to do on the football field? What do you want to do in the gym?
Yeah, win every time.
Win. Okay, so business is a game.
Yeah, same thing. Absolutely. And so at the end of the day, that's winning at what you enjoy or what you're after, and not worried about the stuff. So you look good on social media, the stuff will come. If I'd have known, I mean, I'm glad I learned it as young as I did. But at the end of the day, like, that's what, if we can get across to a lot of these young business people, that it's going to take time. You got to accumulate the skills. You can't be scared to get off the sidelines and move. And that all these things that you're after, if you're just focused on winning and accumulating and over delivering, like, all that stuff works.
Yeah,
it just happens over time. There's no secret formula.
The pieces, because if you're like, oh, I just made $70,000 this year, I'm a badass, I'm going to try to up my game to compete with these other guys. Dude, you're going to get in a room and you're going to get your shit pushed in, bro. Like you're in the fucking showers in the fucking in prison, dude. Like you cannot up your level. You cannot just jump up straight up. Like you have to be obsessed with the process. And the one thing I keep thinking about is, like, okay, we're telling people to just do it, and that's going to introduce them to new situations. And I this keeps hitting me, like, the only thing that ever has stayed the same for me, at least, was change. So nothing has ever stayed the same for me. Not everything is constantly changing. But then I say, okay, I'm developing new skill. Okay, maybe that is how you constantly develop new skills. Maybe that is how you develop yourself. So just doing it, okay, by definition, is a change from what you're doing today. Just doing it by definition is a change from what you're doing today. Get comfortable with change, my friends, and life will change for you the better.
Man, I think that might be a good point to wrap it up, John. What do you think, Reese?
Absolutely.
Is Maurice still there?
Here. I was listening to Johnny Fosco.
Hey. No, I think, listen, we just riffed on that for a long ass time. I think it was really good. Look, if you're still with us, which I know you are because this shit is fire, make sure you give us a 5-star rating on iTunes and you must subscribe. We are top 10 on the business charts. We've been hanging out there. It's because of you, the listener, because you're sharing it with your friends, because you're subscribing, because you're making sure and let everybody know that Business and Biceps is giving you real takeaways so you can make your life better by listening to 3 crazy motherfuckers, me, Corey Gregory, that Maurice Claret, and this guy, John Fosco. So, of course, iTunes, subscribe.
It's free, man.
Review.
We put our life into this. Free. All we're asking you is to push a button on your phone that's free. Now, I know the hard drive space or whatever the fuck everyone refers to it as, memory. I don't know. I know that shit is taken up, man. Okay, but this is just a little bit, and we're trying to give a lot of it. So just hit that button and share it with a friend, please.
Absolutely, and make sure you guys shop at shop.bstseafood.com with Boston Sword and Tuna and our boy Mikey Scola. We want to give you 15% off that fresh East Coast seafood delivered straight to your door overnight. And use the code BIZBIS15 to get 15% off. Once again, it's shop.bstseafood.com. Holler at our boy Mike Scola. Johnny, I'm going to throw it to you for 2020.
Yeah, 2020, obviously, you guys know, if you listen to our last episode, that it is the marketplace for independent photographers and for anybody who has a website or is looking to build a website, because all websites are built on photographs and you can't just rip them off the internet. You need to license them out from the people who took the photographs. So if you go to 2020.com, TWENTY20.com, as a photographer, you can make money licensing out and selling your photographs to people looking to build websites. If you're an entrepreneur or a business owner and your website needs a facelift, or you are building a website, it is a reasonably cost place to go to get good photographs so you can build an amazing website. Corey, I think they get 5 free photos, correct?
5 free photos of you with your shirt off. That's what I heard. Taken by content.
Hey, I'm really going to be getting what Mo was trying to get at the beginning.
So go to 2020.com/biceps. That's TWENTY20.com/biceps. Get your 5 free photos. John, lastly, I think besides Max Effort Muscle, lay it down on Podcast Influencer real quick, then we'll get out of here.
We've had so much interest, and it's so exciting because, listen, podcasting as an industry is booming. Everybody knows it, and I know you or someone close to you, probably you, has something to say. And the beauty of the internet is the world is connected. Podcasting, connecting it to iTunes, getting the word out there, marketing it, it could be very overwhelming. Listen, but in the 2 years that we've done this, we have learned the ins and outs of the game, and we are ready to share it with the world. We already started. It's a fantastic product. It's very successful already. And I recommend, if you want to start a podcast and get it out there and do it the right way, visit podcastinfluencer.com. You will not be let down.
All right. And lastly, all the hard work that Jeremy's been putting in, I'm going to give him the opportunity to ask you, John, if the podcast can be stopped. So, Jeremy, without further ado.
Can the podcast be stopped?
Podcast! Stop! Not at all.
This is the story of you. What makes you special? Where you come from. This is one of the most exciting stories ever told because it's about you. And you are one of the most important things in this world. You.
She ride cause her testament has been day one. A nigga got trust cause she been day one. Day one's done, build a fan Bruce Lee. So we KIS to BS goodbye. Damsel in distress, so I stress good guy. Tarzan and Jane, more like Bonnie and Kareem. Could you be my sugar, water, tonic, and cream? Put the dean in my yard like religion and king. And diamond, you a sight. Like unidentified rims spinning in the night. Me without your balance just wouldn't sit right. Like written wouldn't lead past tense without the fan if it wasn't.